Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited that you can be here another week, another Saturday, Sabbath, where we can have some discussion about our health. Thanks for coming. Today, we have a very interesting guest that I will want to introduce to you. But before I do that, I just want to state our disclaimer. So our information that we present week after week is for informational purposes only. We are not doctors. We are not here to diagnose, treat any type of condition, but our information that we present are usually from research that we have done, life experiences, biblical base also. So we would like for you, if you want to make changes in your lifestyle, I will encourage you first discuss it with your physician so that they can direct you and help you on your journey. Again, welcome to our presentation. Today we have Miss Belinda Green, who will be doing our presentation on prepping for emergency survival. Belinda is a certified personal trainer, master health, herbalist, and a life health coach. She's also a wife and a homeschooling mother. Her passion is helping people heal naturally so that they can achieve better quality of life, both physically and mentally. Belinda has been doing this for the past 20 years, and I'm glad you're here, Belinda, to share your experience with us and to give us some of your knowledge. But thanks for coming to do our presentation today. The stage is yours.
Okay. You're welcome. I am so excited to be here talking about this topic today, prepping for emergency survival. This has been something I have wanted to talk about in forums for a while because since 2021, I started prepping. And I tried to talk to friends and family about it, to just let them know you have to be prepared for anything and never fear mongering. We know there are things that are going to come to pass that aren't going to be easy in our future. And there are different types of emergencies. So I started prepping at the pandemic. I actually had someone tell me 3 weeks before, we're going to get shut down. And I told my husband about it, and he was like, "No, nah, I don't think so." But he's also the person, well, do whatever you think you need to do. So I started getting things. I didn't know what a shutdown was going to look like, but that was the start of, I guess you could say, my prepping journey. And so I've gotten more and more knowledgeable about that. And I just want to share what to do and how to prepare for any type of emergency. So different types of emergencies. This is the overview for it. We're going to talk about different types of emergencies, how to survive without medication, communications, being functionally fit, prepping food and water and taking care of your pets, prepping essential items, clothing, protection, keeping or starting a garden, foraging, bugging in versus bugging out, skills and resources, alliances, and questions at the end. So different types of emergencies. So appropriately, we've just gone through some people in natural disasters. Natural disasters happen with this hurricane that came ashore. I would like to think that most people in Florida would have been ready. I would like to think that at the beginning of hurricane season, that Floridians and most people on the coastal areas who tend to get hit by these storms have put away water and canned goods and dry snacks and things like that so that they are prepared when these things come apart in their come ashore in their area. So I think that Florida kind of has that advantage. A lot of places have disasters that you don't know that they're coming, like earthquakes or things like that. And tornadoes can be very unpredictable. Transportation commerce disruption. We've actually seen that recently with the port strikes. I think they only strike for a couple of days, but the day before and the day after, I did a TikTok talking about what would you do if you couldn't get, like, specifically your medications and things like that. That could happen again if any type of transportation were to break down. There were things that won't be coming in. commerce would be disrupted. And if you are prepped up with the things that you need, you're going to be okay for a little while until those things resume. Then there's the emergencies of war, relations breaking down internationally. And that means that things that are imports, very important imports for us, aren't going to come in. We have so many things imported from other countries that we would definitely feel it if those things weren't still coming to us. It would break down our supply chain. So martial law and of course the pandemic. Martial law is the military through orders from the government of just stopping all types of movement for its citizens. It could be for almost any reason. And that will stop us from being able to get around freely. Goods and some services might also become scarce. And so it's always good to be prepped for that. And as we just saw, pandemic, if that were to happen again, we're going to face the same kind of thing, not being able to move freely. And we could also see that some goods aren't available to us. So an EMP grid down situation. An EMP is an electrical magnetic pulse. And when that happens, it is going to take out pretty much everything that runs on electricity. The cars, the up-to-date cars, they are going to shut off. You won't be able to use TV, internet, things like that. That is a very severe emergency, but it could happen. Forgot the year, but the Carrington event, I believe, was from a solar flare, and it shut off all electricity for a little bit, but it came back up. And then lastly, fleeing Christian persecution. We as Christians know that the time of trouble, tribulation is coming. We see that in our lifetimes. We will, as in the Bible it says, we may have to flee to the mountains. We may have to be in situations where we're not able to have our creature comforts. Speaking of the mark of the beast, where you can't buy or sell. So that is something that you can prepare for. But of course, we know the best way to prepare for that is just to have unwavering faith in Christ. So that no matter what happens, that is the preparation, having faith in Christ. Surviving without medications, near and dear to my heart. So, again, I am not a doctor. I do help people get off medications. I help people to have a better quality of life. I am not against doctors. I'm not against pharmacy medications, but there are so many chronic conditions that I see that are due to lifestyle choices, poor lifestyle choices, and changing that lifestyle, changing what you eat, adding the support in herbal support, supplement support can turn things around in your life greatly. Most of disease that we suffer from is either from a deficiency or a toxicity. So when you balance out the body, everything balances out. Medication, unfortunately, does not get to the root cause. It's a band-aid. We're talking about reversing these things. Ask yourself, are you on a daily medication? What would happen if you couldn't get your prescription filled? How would your quality of life change without your medicine? Think about that for a moment if any of that applies to you. Your doctor's not around. Even some medications that you have, even if you had, let's say, an extra month or two, some of those, which might need to be kept cold, those are going to expire or they're going to diminish in their efficacy. So these are things that you need to think about. And now is the time to start thinking about them where there is no looming emergency, where we're not facing something that's about to happen, where we're not facing that we're going to lose supplies of something. So I would suggest that anyone who's on medications, who's not on they're not having an issue where they have to be on that medication because maybe they've had that disease or chronic illness for so long that now it's going to be very, very hard to reverse that condition. Start weaning off your medications today. While you can do it comfortably, and it's not, a situation like, oh my goodness, I can't get it now. I got to try to do something better. Find herbal and supplement alternatives. Easy as I wouldn't use Google. I would use another search engine to find those things for you. And you can always consult with someone who is is knowledgeable about herbal medicine. Commit to a lifestyle change, eating better, moving your body. Simple things as drinking more water, getting sunshine will help you so much. Become independent of your condition and medicines. Stockpile what you need to heal yourself and grow your herbs. So that's one thing that you can do. Um, if you find out that there are herbs that can help you reverse the conditions that you have, get those packets, get your heirloom seeds, and get ready to grow those things. Have them in your garden, or just keep the seeds so that if society were to break down, you can start growing those things for you. So this is a snapshot of some herbs that are good for different things. If medicine worked, you wouldn't need to refill your prescription. Think about that. So I don't want to go too deep in which herbs for what conditions, but these are some things. I'm not sure if you could take a screenshot of it. If you need me to later, I'll put my email in and I can just send these out, or just take a picture or a screenshot with your computer. So one thing you need to know when you're taking an herbal approach, there are three things that you need to take into account. For instance, diabetes. If someone were to say, well, what can I take for my diabetes? It's not just, oh, you can take this. There are so many options for almost, everything that you could think of. So I would tell someone, well, why don't you can take berberine. Berberine is going to bring down your A1C. 100%. It's going to happen. However, you need to think about what caused you to be predisposed to diabetes. A lot of people have magnesium deficiencies. A severe magnesium deficiency can be a direct result of someone getting diabetes. So you have the precursor to the disease that you need to take care of, which would be the magnesium deficiency, if that were it. Then you have the disease itself that you need to treat. And let's say that's the berberine, which is actually going to bring down your A1C, your blood sugar. And then after, you have the effects that the diabetes has wreaked havoc on your body. So whatever effects those are, then you have to deal with that. So it's not just oh, I can take this for that. And that's where the root causes come in. And that could be diagnosed with a blood test. A lot of people who have magnesium deficiencies have really rough patches on parts of their body, like rough heels and things like that. The skin flaking up, and usually in different forms where people say, my skin, my heels are just so like callous. And I immediately go, magnesium deficiency. And so that's one of the things. So yes, there are so many healing herbs that can help you. Communications. So I think in every type of situation, it is good to have important contacts written down. We don't know when technology or anything may fail us or just power down, even just for a little bit. If you need to reach someone through uh, another way, you need to have their contact information written down. You need to have down their phone number, their address. You need to have directions to where they live. You need to have paper maps just as backups. There are different phone apps for communication. There are walkie-talkie apps on your phones, and then there are walkie-talkies. So walkie-talkies are good for just like maybe a mile or so. And most of these are line of sight, which means if you're in a populated area and there are buildings, it's not going to go through the buildings as well as it would if you were out in the country with just nothing. You would get better reception and longer reception. Two-way radios are just a step above walkie-talkies. Same thing, though, they are limited by line of sight depending on where you are. Satellite phones. Satellite phones are a good option. I don't think anyone's ever really had the opportunity to test a satellite phone if the grid was down. They are supposed to utilize a satellite so that you can still be able to talk if the power, grid was down, internet was down. But the drawback for these are that the phones themselves are very expensive. The service, you have to have a subscription to the service. And then there's something called a sat sleeve that I just found out about. So I would, and it's like an attachment that you put on your phone to actually turn your phone into a satellite phone. So you could put it on your smartphone. That's another option. However, it is still an expensive option. So the winner is ham radios. They have their pros and they have their cons. Ham radios are the one option that I would use that you would be able to, it uses UHF signals and VHF signals that you would be able to talk. You can talk for probably 4,000 miles on these things with an extended antenna on top of that. And you use repeaters. So that means you are using the airways from basically bouncing off device from device to get to where you need to go. The person that you're trying to communicate, your family members, they need to also have a ham radio. And using them on a daily basis, you need to be licensed. So if you're just getting them to have in an emergency situation, definitely in an emergency, nobody's going to come looking for you saying you're not licensed. So an emergency situation, this is going to be great. But to try them out and to even use them now, you definitely need to have a license because you can get fined. And to get your license, you do an application, you actually take a course, and you have to take a test. So it's a little bit involved, but worth it. If, and like I said, if you have someone with that ham radio on the other side. So with your family and friends and important groups, you need to have designated meetup spots. So if something happened based on what happened, you'd be like, okay, we all need to probably get here and meet up. You need to have plans, you need to have codes. If you're on the move and your family is trying to catch up with you, you need to have backup plans. You need to have codes. Like for instance, my family, our last name is Green. There's 5 of us. Our code is Green 5. If we got separated and the other part of our family was coming, they would see signs where we put up spray painted or marked Green 5 with an arrow or a note or something. You need to leave forwarding signs and notes for your family. If there was a designated meetup, but something happened and then you had to go to another location, then you need to leave forwarding information for those family members. Also, out and about, you need to have whistles, flare guns, mirrors, SOS, so that you can signal people to you or get help or make noise if someone needs to know that you're around. So SOS is very simple. It's a coded help message that everyone I think needs to know because you can tap, people may think that's something else. And SOS is 3 short sounds, 3 long sounds, and 3 more short sounds. So it's something like this. That's SOS. That's internationally known. Everyone, everywhere knows SOS. Being functionally fit. Yay. Functional fitness is training that improves an individual's ability to perform everyday and life-saving activities, focusing on building strength, flexibility, endurance, and balance. Another subject I love to talk about. Working out, getting fit. And it's not just for looking great. We all want to look great. This is for things that you do every day. Training to be functionally fit can be slightly different than just working out. You're training for if you're lifting things, carrying things, what you do in your everyday life, what you might have to eventually do in the future to get to somewhere safe or even save your life. For instance, if you had to walk 10 or 15 miles within like 4 or 5 hours, are you able to do that? If you had to pull something or push something, pull your body over a ledge, pull another person up a hill or something like that, are you able to do that? Strengthening your core, your flexibility are all things that are going to help you to be able to be on your feet and move in a situation that you may not be able to see yourself in right now. But no matter how old you are, and you need to start getting yourself into condition and just for health, period, lifting weights to help build strength. There are all types of scenarios that I could name where you just might need to be a little bit more in shape. Even here in Florida, maybe walking a little bit in the sun to acclimate yourself to weather. Because what if you end up somewhere out in the elements and you need to kind of acclimate so that you're not in the sun, and you just feel like you're dying because you've kind of trained in the sun before. Walk at least 10,000 steps a day and do cardio to increase your endurance. Activities like pulling, pushing, jumping, and improving your balance. Improve your balance by standing on one leg and doing kickbacks. So the picture at the top is someone pulling something, those, pulling skills, working as a team. And some people just, they really don't do anything. They're not active at all. The picture at the bottom, the first one, is Ernestine Shepherd and another woman. In this picture, she is 80 years old. It says both of these women are 80 years old. Your daily choices determine how your future will unfold. I completely understand some people may face injuries and things that are going to cause them to not ever be able to move the way that they have moved before. But other than that, what's stopping a lot of us is just our mindset. You're never too old to start. And I don't even like talking about age. We're not our age, we're our energy. So this lady started working out at the age of 56. She and her sister, I think they went to try on bathing suits and they said they didn't like the way they looked and they made a pact that they were going to start working out. Never worked out before. And unfortunately, her sister died. So Ernestine said that she was going to continue the legacy and start working out. And look at what she looks like there at 80. The two pictures beside that were taken within the last year. She is now 88 years old. She was tagged as the world's oldest bodybuilder. This woman looks great. She's my hero. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's all about mindset. Again, it's never too late to get going. If you've never worked out a day in your life, it is not too late to get functionally fit because one day your life may depend on it. Prepping food and water. So stock the foods that you eat. If you start stocking a pantry, you don't want to put in a lot of things that you're not going to touch unless you think you're going to eat it for an emergency situation. You want to get the things, the vegetables, the canned goods that you eat, and then rotate them by date. When you see that they're coming up on expiration, go ahead and eat those things and then replace them. A lot of people say that prepping is expensive. If you go out and get a whole bunch of things at once, it can be, but I suggest that you take every week, you add in a few food items, you add in water, and you add in some supplies, and then you'll just build up slowly. You can consider packaged emergency foods that you add water to. That's the buckets that you see here. This particular company I've used, again, this can be expensive, but this food lasts for 25 years and you're only adding hot water to it. So if you are not, if you just want to go out and get this the easy way, you can stock these up and they're good for 25 years. Other than that, the first picture is kind of what an area in your house should look like. Even if you don't have a lot of space, you need to have your water put away. You need to have your canned goods put away and a place to put your survival items. So you can have options for water purification in your home. And then you need to store non-potable water. And that's for things like washing things, washing your body, flushing the toilet if there was an emergency like that. So purification options, and those could be the tablets that you use for water. Also, it's great to have the life straws where you can basically take that straw in a lake, bend down, and suck that water through and it's being filtered that way. Some things to stock. So one of the first things that I think I got that I started adding were 20-pound bags of rice. Put it in the freezer for 2 days to kill any eggs or whatever in there. There are always eggs in there. That's how you end up getting weevils. Freeze that for about 48 hours, take it out, wrap it up. If you don't want to transfer it to another thing, I wrapped it in plastic wrap and put those away. I got canned goods and things like that. And that was the start of my prepping. Um, Also, you can start canning, dehydrating, pickling. I'm still on the learning curve for learning how to can. So that's something that I'm trying to get better at. And don't forget your pets. Stock a supply of pet food and pet products. Have some bags of your pet's food for, that can last like some months, just like the supply that you should have. You should be able to put away supplies ideally 2 to 3 months, but as much as you can put away. So prepping essential items like clothing and protection. So here in Florida, it's pretty much warm all the time. But if you're somewhere and you're going through seasons, you need to make sure you have clothes for all seasons and weather conditions. Think about what would happen if you were not able to go buy any more clothes at all. Have clothing and shoes in larger sizes for children. If you have a 4-year-old, maybe go to some thrift stores and get, some clothes and shoes in larger sizes. And then, of course, you don't need them. You can give them away at some point in time and then get another larger size as your child grows. Have durable footwear and tactical gear. Basically, have some hiking boots and things like that. The different types of belts where you can hang stuff that you can get to easily, like a pocket knife, the flint things that start fires, put those on there. Little pockets where you can just store things that you need. Have solar options and generators. I have a solar charger that can charge. It has a USB port, but you can charge most things like your phones through that. Stock your unique family needs. If there's something very unique to your family, make sure that you have those things that you don't want to run out of it. Stock tons of it. For women who are having, and daughters that having their monthlies, make sure you have those things. Learn how to make those cloth pads also. That would be more economical. And also there's something called, there are different brands of them, but they're basically like panties that you can use. I know that's an odd option, an odd thought, but you can use those and they are very absorbent. But in an emergency, you keep those in a bag, and that's something that you might have as a go-to. Personally, for my family, we clean socks and put them away, and they'll come in handy. Weapons, ammunition. I don't know what your thoughts are on weapons or guns, but I know that I don't want someone to come and take my hard-earned preps away from me. So pack and label your emergency items, put them away, but be able to get to them. For instance, if all of a sudden the power went out, even like this for this last storm, if you need to grab your emergency lights, lanterns, candles, things like that, then you're able to know where everything is and hopefully label very well. Keeping or starting a garden. So you can maintain a garden now just to have, and I mean, it's great. Going outside and being able to pick an organic tomato off of the branch is just awesome to me. So I need to have a bigger garden, but there are some things that I like that I grow. Have heirloom seeds on hand to start planting. So I don't plant like a lot of things. I don't have a large garden the way I would like to, but I have almost every heirloom seed or every plant, vegetable, fruit that you can think of, so that if something were to happen, I'm going to go start planting right away, just a garden. It takes 45 to 60 days for some of these things to grow. So if you have that much food to get you through, then you should be waiting for a harvest. So I think that that's what you should be planning to do. Have enough food packed away, prepped away, and then start gardening so that you can always have food. Utilize container gardening if your space is limited. So the first picture, you can grow carrots and potatoes in bags just like that. And then the bottom is above ground planting. So if you have maybe a patio and not a space where you can really dig in, you can create this type of box, grid it off so you'll know which plant is which plant, and start growing things in that container box. The middle option is for if you lived in an apartment and you think you don't have any space at all. That is a really great tower garden that you can just grow pretty much almost anything in it. And on the end is sprouting. So sprouting is the seeds that are like alfalfa, sunflower, broccoli, and they're highly nutritious microgreens, and they will grow in about a week. You can do the first option and grow them in a tray, or at the bottom, you can grow them in a jar, and you will have delicious microgreens in a week. Definitely, if you were in an emergency situation, you just had to grow something nutritious right away, have those seeds on hand and grow your greens, your microgreens. Foraging. So Um, if you are around your home or even with a more serious situation, if you're out in the woods, you need to ahead of time know your plants, know what grows in your region. Something growing, if you have a book in the Midwest, may not grow here. So you need to get very familiar with what it is that's in your literal backyard or in your area. Never eat what you cannot identify. If possible, collect plants in a breathable sack or basket. Harvest ethically. Take what you need. Don't overtake, like you see something, oh, I got to grab all of this. You want it to stay there so they can flourish so you're able to come back to it. Have a book or printed guide on identifying um, plants for their culinary and medicinal uses, and take very great care in knowing plants that resemble other poisonous plants. There are some plants like hemlock and some other things, and they very closely resemble some plants that are very good for us. Bugging in versus bugging out. This is another screen that if you can take a picture of, or I can get these to you. This has a disaster supply checklist, everything, first aid, important documents, things like that you want to take with you, food and water, pet things. It just lists some things that you want to have with you. Emergency evacuation items together. There are items that if you just had 15 minutes to get out, these are the most important things to grab. If you had 20 minutes, if you had an hour, if you had a 2 hour warning, things that you would need to grab and take with you. And then the central bug out bag, and we will talk about that. So bugging in versus bugging out. So bugging in is sheltering in place and fortifying your home to be stocked up with at least 2 to 3 months of food, water, and supplies in your home. That is the ideal situation. We all want to be able to shelter in place if that is all possible. If society truly breaks down, however, you're going to have people acting out of character. You're going to have people looting. You're going to have people who did not prep for anything. And I've heard people say it, their only goal is to find people who've prepped and take their preps. So um, sometimes people say if you can find a location that's out of the city or something, it's probably good to have that too. Some people say 100 miles from civilization, from the nearest urban area would be good. So that's where bugging out comes in. Bugging out is leaving your home to go to a safer location during an emergency, and you keep a backpack with supplies ready to grab and go, a bug out bag. So if there were to be like an emergency, something like a fire all of a sudden encroaching on where you are, a chemical spill, something that says you have to go, you cannot stay here, that is when you grab what you can, and you need to have a bag already packed. My bug out bag, this is my bug out bag. It's nice and floral instead of a tactical bug out bag. So I can look a little inconspicuous, but walking around with that, someone's going to think, wow, she's got good stuff in there anyway, even though it looks all nice and flowery. So, but that's my bug out bag. And I wish I had time to go through it to tell you the things that are in there. But survival of stuff, just I have things that I can cook with, start a fire. I keep some, I guess you could say, like things that don't expire in there that I can eat. I keep communication stuff in there. Almost you name it, it is in that bag. So always just keep things like that on hand so that you are ready to go. So skills and resources. If there is a situation where you can't get to your, information, Google is everyone's best friend. If you can't Google how to start a fire, how to create a shelter, how to do this, how to create a fishing from this, find books or print out guides and tutorials on first aid, water purification, food preservation, foraging, herbal medicine, building shelters, outdoor survival, hunting and fishing, security measures. This is called bushcrafting. It's basically going out in the woods with almost nothing and surviving. You need to assess your skills and know everyone's skill set and level and expertise in your group. Figure out what everybody's good for. You know, can this person deliver a baby? Is this person your medical go-to person? Can this person build a shelter? Can this person, go and forage? you want to have, if possible, all these types of people around you. Take courses on survival skills that you need to acquire or improve upon. Think right now, like if I was out in the woods, what do I think I need to know? What do I know already that I need to improve upon? And go and learn that thing. You can join prepping and homesteading Facebook groups that will give you a plethora of knowledge on these things. Ask questions. These people, or some of them, are living on homesteads and living this life almost every day, where it's just them and nature. They're living it out. So these are some survival books that I think are really good. The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies, Survival Hacks, Survival Medicine, and the Survival Handbook. They have a little bit of everything in them. There are other books that are great too, but have something on hand in an actual book form that you can keep with you and reference these things when you need the answers to what you might be facing. Alliances. So first of all, get your family on board. Your family should be your biggest alliances. My husband used to think, he's like, we don't need to let anybody know anything. It's just us. Well, you always need people. You may not be able to, fight off looters by yourself. You might need to have other resources. So you need to find people you can trust. And your family is first getting them on board and talking to them about preparing, letting them know that, you're not gloom and doom waiting for something to happen, but you just want to be prepared for anything, whether it's a hurricane or martial law. Meet your neighbors. So many of us have no idea who our neighbors are, and I am kind of guilty of that. I know some of my neighbors, some of them have come and gone, but it's nice to know your neighbors, and community can have each other's back. Network with like-minded people. Find people who are pro prepping. They know that they need to be prepared and things like that. Also, you sometimes don't let people know that you are home, just you prepped up, because these are the same people who would be like, oh, the Joneses, I think they got a house full of stuff. Let's go over there. Join prepping groups and stock things to barter with, things that you may not partake of, that you may not, things that you don't want, like coffee. Those are things, creature comforts that people want. And they may be able to give you something that you want or need that you've stock up on formula if it comes in handy for someone, stock up on diapers. And I just have those things that I run across that I would be able to barter with in that time. But be careful with trusting people, but you do need to form alliances. Noah, the original prepper. Noah preached for or told, warned people, I guess about 100 years that the flood was coming, and the flood came. So Noah was the original prepper, and he was ready when with what God called him to do. So, any questions?
Yeah, Linda, this is really food for thought. You know, we have heard about, prepping for the future. I've always heard people say you need to be ready with food and clothes and everything like that. But we never really take the time out to sit down and really plan out a strategy, something like this that you are explaining for us today, which is really an eye opener. So this is something that I think we all need to start thinking about. Um, Now, the legacy food that you showed, are these healthy? I'll say healthy. They don't have che chemicals in there um that are not as healthy. Maybe things like GMO products. So are these like,
Yeah. Yes, I forgot to elaborate on that. I chose this company because they are non-GMO. They
uh,
are the healthiest of the healthiest without getting organic. There was another company that I think Augustin's Farms, or another one that had organic, very expensive. But these were non-GMO, and I feel very comfortable giving it to my family. Like I said, I went in a store once and I was going to prep and get ramen noodles just to have. If I'm out and starving somewhere, of course I'm going to eat ramen noodles. But I went in and grabbed the pack. I know they're not good for you, so I'm just going to stock them. Why did I read the ingredients? I'm like, I can't even buy myself, bring myself to buy these for an emergency. It just, no. So I didn't get those. But the legacy foods, they come in gluten-free options and things like that, but they are non-GMO. And so I have those prepped.
Okay. Because that's one of my concerns, trying to do those good dry foods, and then the ingredients is just going to make you sick. And you're out there in the woods, you don't want to get sick. So
Yeah.
that's good. That's good to know. Okay, let me see. I think I saw some questions in the chat here. I'm sorry.
Um, Someone put their email. I will send that out to you. I put my email in also. If there's someone who wants to have me send those charts to them with the herbs for the illnesses, I will get that to you. So my email is here, belindafitness1@yahoo.com. And yeah, thank you, Michelle, for answering that. Arlene said you mentioned something about what is good for diabetes. What was it again? And that's berberine. Berberine.
Right, right. So I'm glad people are concerned about, what do you call it, herbs for treating their illness or their chronic disease. Because there are a lot of herbs out there that we can use. I'm not telling anyone to stop using their medication. That's not what I'm saying. But that we can enhance, our medication with to give us a better outcome. Because I firmly believe what the Bible says that the herb is for the healing of the nation. And if we can follow his plan, we are not going to get all these chronic diseases that people are suffering with. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I asked a friend of mine, or actually a relative, what would she do if she could not get her diabetes medication, and I asked a few people about what would they do if they could not get their medication. And I got answers from I'd be a little uncomfortable to I would die without my medication. And they all had diseases or illnesses that I know and believe that could be cured with them starting to make a lifestyle change. Because once an emergency has happened and you cannot get your medication anymore, you're out of options. And that's why I want people now to think about how can I start weaning myself off? How can I improve my quality of life so that I'm not dependent on medications? Because what do if nothing's coming? Most of our medications come from China. What if we have a breakdown with that and you can't get your medication? Ask yourself, what will you do then?
mhm. So there some essential herbs that everybody just need to have stock up. So in case of an emergency that they can use.
Cayenne pepper, garlic, specific to things that are going on with you. High blood pressure would be olive leaf extract, diabetes, berberine, which bitter melon, things like that. But yeah, there are staples of herbs that I think that everyone should have that cure a lot of things across the board.
Yeah. So can you mesh? Yeah, you were going so fast. You said
Garlic,
yeah. So garlic I know is good for blood pressure. It's also a good antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, anti-everything.
yes.
So okay. Um,
Cayenne pepper.
oh, that's good for circulation.
Hmm. You have oregano, oil of oregano or oregano leaves. They're good if they're a natural antibiotic. They also lower your blood sugar.
Mm,
Things like echinacea for building immunity.
okay. Mhm.
And you have what is the other one here? Uh, Coriander, cloves. Well, that's not yeah, cloves are great. They have a high ORAC score They are great for an antibiotic. They're anti-inflammatory. They work for parasites.
Mhm. Right. So you're out in the woods, you might run across maybe water that is not as clean for you to drink. Is there something you can put in the water that can, if you cannot boil it, that you can use to maybe decrease the toxicity or the, and I mean,
Yes, holy
whatever.
basil.
What's
Holy
that?
holy
Holy
basil.
basil. Oh,
Yes, holy basil. You can filter, put that in your water, and it filters out impurities.
holy basil. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about things that you can, have, already ready to go, so that in case you go have to leave your home or even at home, but you just don't have some of the, you know, some of the necessities because like, just recently, this hurricane that just went by, I have a well, so I had to fill buckets with water. And when water sits for a while, it could be, start getting unhealthy. So I was just thinking about that. What can I do in case I need to purify my water? Electricity is gone. I have electric stove, cannot boil it. So that's something that you can think about and good to have an idea of what we can do.
Yes.
Mhm. So I'm glad you put your email. So those of you who want to receive the list that Belinda was talking about with the different herbs that you can use for supplementing your chronic diseases, you can send her your email and she can send it.
I put my email in the chat, Belinda Fitness. Just send me an email and I will send those charts to you.
This was very informative. You mentioned something about, okay, I think you answered that. Did not hear what you said for diabetes. Oh,
Yes, I think
eh,
Michelle told her berberine.
oh, okay. Okay, so somebody's talking about the live straw. Live straw is good for, oh, live straw is also good for water purification.
Yes. It's just a little cylinder that you carry around, but you're basically sucking up the water and it's being filtered as it goes in and reaches you. It has its own um
Oh, filtration system
filter.
already. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Wow, these are important things you bring to our attention. So are you writing down these emails or you want me to write them down?
Um,
Right, right.
So Belinda
Oh,
Life Straw, you can
yes.
buy that like online or somewhere.
You can buy these online. Amazon has them on sale from time to time, but yes, you can definitely buy them online. Can you look over there too on top? Yeah, I was trying to have my daughter grab one so I could show you.
right, yeah.
Can you go look up there on top and see? On top, so you can see it.
And Belinda, when you
Yes,
talk
so
about the pack that you have always like ready to go, I'm thinking maybe people need to think about the weight limit for their body, if they're able to carry it. Because if you overpack it, you may not be
absolutely.
able to carry that.
Okay. So my pack is kind of heavy, but I'm used to rucking. I sometimes actually work out with a heavy pack. So this is something that I can carry. But yes, so depending if it's just you, then you need to just put the most essential things in that pack. If it's your family, then divide it up. Maybe somebody carries some essentials, then other people carry like what's specific to them and some of the essentials, and just divide up the loading and care. Everybody has a backpack.
Mhm.
Someone is asking about active charcoals, or they're saying active charcoal is also important.
Activated charcoal you should always have on hand in case you uh, got something that was poisonous to you, or even something that was upsetting to your stomach, something that could have been spoiled. It's always great to have activated charcoal on hand. That is going to go to work pretty quickly to absorb um, what it is that you took that's going to make you sick.
Hmm. Okay.
I'm writing down emails, everyone, but I want to make sure I got it written down properly. So also, if you could please email me, and I would definitely be able to get back to you and make sure that I don't miss any dots or anything that's in your email. Um, this is my email again. Oops. Belinda Fitness One at Yahoo. Send me an email and I can get all of that right to you. Okay. Can you see that?
Oh,
These
yes, I do.
are Life Straw. Okay. The mini filtration system. And let's see.
Hmm.
Yep. Two of these come in a pack, and it will actually filter, it says 100,000 gallons of water.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's a lot of water to be sipping up
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the life
That,
straw.
yeah, the company is what, Swain?
This is Sawyer, the Sawyer
Oh,
brand.
Sawyer. Sawyer. Oh, Sawyer.
Yeah. I have a couple of different of these that I have. Always good to have in your pack in case you run across water and you don't have water anywhere else, and you don't have any other way to filter water. You can take the water up into like a cup and then suck it through the straw, or if you just had to, you can kneel carefully at the bank of a river and suck that up.
Hmm.
Very
Okay.
informative, good information. Um, like I say, in the times that we are living, I do appreciate you bringing forth why this is important, because there are many things that we will not be able to control that will happen in our society. And so, what we can control is being prepared. We can do that. And so, thank you, Belinda. I appreciate you taking the time to share with us what you are actually doing and have done with your family to be prepared for any type of emergency that we may encounter.
Yes, absolutely. It just it you being prepared can never hurt you. Something, you're never gonna not be happy because you're prepared, be that you got prepared, but you can always, like the foolish virgins, wonder why, you did not just take a few, take a little bit to have some extra things that you need.
Yep. That is so true.
Okay. Guys, I've written
Dr.
down,
Jennifer.
I think I've written down everyone's email. Like I said, I want to make sure I have it down properly. But please just shoot me an email and say send charts, and I will get those to you. I think I have everyone written down. But yes, Belinda Fitness One at yahoo.com. Send me an email and I will get all of those charts over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks again. Any other questions? Someone was saying something? Osiela? Was it Osiela?
Yes, for her to confirm her email address, but confirmed. I just want to say that is an awesome presentation that she gave today too.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Very informative. Thank you. Okay. Is there something you want to say before we leave, before we end, Belinda?
No, I think I touched on everything. These are topics that I could literally talk on forever. So I didn't want to throw out
Okay.
too much
Belinda.
information. But yes, I'd be more than happy to come back again and expound on any of this and some of more new topics that I have in my head that I need to get out.
Yes, okay, Belinda, when you were talking, you were talking about planting a garden and unique ways that we can plant gardens if we live in an apartment or just want to have something in the back of the yard. Um, I think we are very interested in that, in learning how to plant a garden so that we can have food, food that can nourish our bodies when we just can go outside and pick something. Yeah, I think I'm interested in that because I have a backyard, but I have nothing planted because I keep on saying I do not have a green thumb. And I'm sure I can do better than that. So I would love to learn more about that. So maybe you can come back one day to talk about planting a garden, how we can, um, ways that we can plant a garden without having to do a lot of digging and hoeing and plowing.
Yes, absolutely. I can do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so with that, we are going to end our presentation for today. Thank you guys for coming, and especially thank Belinda. I think I'm saying your name wrong. It's Belinda? How do
Yes.
you pronounce Belinda? Okay, for coming to share with us today.